11th in the West. After rumors of a move, Kevin Durant remained with the team after the trade deadline. Here's KD with Malika Andrews on why he decided to stay in Phoenix.
I just wanted to read you this quote from Steve Kerr. He said, "I don't blame Kevin one bit for not wanting to rerun things here. He took so much for like, oh, you're jumping on the bandwagon, and then he's the finals MVP 2 years in a row, and he still gets criticized. Why would he want to face all that BS again?" What do you think of that?
People talk crazy about me all the time, you know? Like, that's not the reason why I didn't want to come back. I just didn't want to get traded midway through the season, and it was nothing against my time with the Warriors, or I heard because I don't like Draymond. At the end of the day, I just didn't want to move, and I wanted to see it through with my team in Phoenix and see what we could do the rest of the season. So I'm glad I'm still there.
All right, so he just wanted to see it through with his team in Phoenix, didn't want to move again, Stephen A. Do you like KD's reasoning for not going back to the Warriors?
I don't have a problem with it. I just think there was much ado about nothing. And let me explain, because obviously I'm gonna take hits. You know, I'm the bad guy. I mean, everything I say, every word I utter, Eminem, Doggy, I'm the bad guy and stuff like that. People don't want to talk to me like
to the bad guy.
I mean, it is what it is. Everybody and their grandmama knows. There's no one definitive reason why Kevin Durant left Golden State. But more importantly, as I said to the Golden State Warriors at the time before the trading deadline, why would you even want to think about or consider bringing back somebody that didn't want to be there? Kevin Durant left of his own volition. The Golden State Warriors would still have Kevin Durant in a Golden State Warriors uniform if Kevin wanted to stay there. KD didn't want to stay. He wanted to be gone. Everybody looks at the Draymond collision, the friction that they had on the court against the Clippers, where you know it's bad. DeMarcus Cousins had to contain Draymond Green, okay? Let's keep that in mind, right? Even though DeMarcus Cousins is a good dude. Here's the bottom line. When you look at it, Draymond got into that ordeal with Kevin Durant. That's not why Kevin Durant wanted to leave. Draymond got into it because Draymond was disgusted at all the noise they were hearing prior to that about KD wanting to leave. We're back-to-back champions. We're shooting for a three-peat, okay? And this brother's got a foot out the door. So it wasn't that happened and then, oh, KD wanted to leave. No, KD, the whispers were out there that he was planning on leaving before that incident had taken place, which is why one of the things that Draymond said to him is, you want to go, get the hell up out of here and go. I'm putting it in kind words because we're on FCC airwaves. Clearly, he didn't say it that way, okay? But he let him know. You know what I'm saying? Get the hell up out of here. You want to leave anyway? We won before you. We're going to be fine without you. That was Draymond's response, okay? Whether they're willing to admit it or not today is their business. I'm telling you what happened, okay? So and not only that, when you're KD, you like to do things your way. The brother never cheats you. He's a superstar player. He's going to bring what he brings every single night. The man loves to hoop. But KD is the epitome of somebody who wants to do his job and does not want to be bothered at all. He wants to do his job, and he wants to go home and live his life. He don't want to be bothered. He don't want to be around a bunch of people. That is how he rolls. But you can rely on him to show up and give you 27 a night in his sleep. That's how gifted he is, okay? But he also didn't have the greatest relationship with Steve Kerr, which is why I found it very, very interesting that Steve Kerr gave that quote. Well, I don't blame him coming to his defense. Sure, you coached him in the Olympics. Yes, you did. Sure, you coached him for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? 3 years, rather. You know, you won back-to-back NBA championships. I get that. But in Golden State at the time, it was believed that the relationship between the coach and KD could have been better. Bob Myers, who now works for us, was the GM there at that particular moment in time. The relationship was with him and KD, as opposed to Steve Kerr and KD. And when it was speculation surrounding why KD wanted to leave to begin with, no one would point to one thing definitively. But Steve Kerr's name and the lack of a better relationship definitely was mentioned. Okay, and Draymond was a byproduct of Kevin Durant already having one foot out the door. So when he explained what he explained, I'm like, yeah, okay, It sounds great. You didn't want to move, all right? You've been to Oklahoma City. You go to San Francisco. You go Oakland, rather. You go from Oakland to San, whatever the hell you was living, right? Then you go from there. You go to Brooklyn, New York, okay? And then after you go to Brooklyn, you're in Phoenix. You don't want to move. Arizona, it's warmer. The taxes are better. We get it. We understand, okay? But in the end, bottom line is, you never wanted to be in Golden State in the end anyway. In the end, you did not want to be there. And they shouldn't have even thought about bringing you back.
Yeah, I'm with you, S.A., in that when that started percolating, I was like, well, what does KD actually want out of all of this? I was cool with the interview. I thought it was, it actually kind of took me back because we were all in high school in the basketball circles in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. And what I saw was the guy that has always just loved the game. And whether you buy his logic or not, there was, I think, an honesty about the conversation with Malika that reflects just the game, the people that the game introduced you to, the loyalty. Whether you buy Phoenix will figure it out or not, that interview just kind of took me back because KD, he doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. And
Nothing.
And Golden State was successful for what it was. I have long said, probably for 2 seasons now, that at this point in his career, if he wants to be a hired mercenary, he's still valuable, he's still effective, go, do your thing. But I don't see him as a guy that's gonna go backwards in that regard unless it is potentially a ceremonial closeout of sorts.
Well, first off, the Steve Kerr quote is the dumbest quote I've ever heard in my life. The fact that he goes to San Francisco and he took all that BS. That wasn't BS. He left Oklahoma City on the brink of a championship and joined a team that won 73 games. Kerr's teammate Michael Jordan, who he won championships with, would never have done that.
Then we have seen so many guys move to go get chips. Does it not, in the archives of now basketball history, in the way that this NBA is moving, you still are not past
I want to jump in before Doggy answers. I want to jump in before Doggy answers.
All right.
Doggy, it wasn't just that he left. It's that they were up 3-1 on Golden State.
Absolutely, blew the game.
Golden State came back, won the series, and a month later he joined them. That was what it was. If you leave, Eminem, if you leave earlier, if you leave to some other team that hadn't just beaten you in the conference finals, that would be different. That's all.
No, he's 100% right.
So if we
May I finish?
Yeah, please. Go ahead. Yeah.
Continue.
No, I'm serious.
So that's number one. And not only were they up not only about that series, let's not also forget they had an 8-point lead with 4 minutes to go at home in Game 6. Win the game. And Golden State won 73 games that year. Win the game. Number two, if you're Durant, you can't go back to the Warriors. Because if he goes back to the Warriors, they won a championship before and after him. It's almost like that he needs the Warriors to bail him out again. It's a terrible look for a sports fan. Hold on now, Durant's moving again, and he's going back to Curry, who won a title without him? Durant can't do that. And the one thing about Durant, he's an all-timer. I love him too. Fun to watch, plays hard. Everybody thinks he thinks the whole world's out to get him. Not the case. But if you get out of the NBA cocoon, where everybody thinks it's fair to leave and bounce around, the average fan, he's got something to prove with the average fan. He left Oklahoma City. He left the Warriors when they won 2. Then Curry won. He goes to Brooklyn. He gets Atkinson fired. He leaves Brooklyn. That's a disaster. Goes to Phoenix. And now he gets swept every time you turn around in the postseason, and they run to 500. Okay. So if he leaves again, that's going to look bad for the average NBA fan who says, hold on, Durant, this is his 5th team? How come he can't sit there and win in Phoenix or in Brooklyn or in Oklahoma City? And that's going to look bad.
You're leaving out some details, though.
What am I leaving out?
I understand with OKC why he took OKC and joining a super team and going to the Warriors. But when he left the Warriors, it was like, okay, now I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to go to Brooklyn and do it. Was Brooklyn all his fault, or were there other parties involved that didn't pan out, like Kyrie and Harden and that whole situation?
Well, he's the one who went because Kyrie told him to go.
He was.
But he didn't know what he was signing up for.
He was also a toe from the Eastern Conference Finals in Brooklyn. I think we forget that.
Yeah, and Atkinson obviously has proved. We see what he's doing with Cleveland. It's sensational, but I'm just saying you can't knock him for that. And he's saying that he doesn't want to go back to the Warriors. So shouldn't we be respecting that? That he's saying he wants to stay where I am with Phoenix and see it through? Isn't that what you're asking for?
Stevie?
I might have been the one you needed to ask that question to. That brother was on the MLB network at the time. He wasn't paying that much attention, Kevin. That's what I'm saying.
whose
I
mic is
might have
messed
asked
up
me
right
that
now?
question, Molly, okay? Just a thought. The point that I'm making is this. If you backtrack and look at it, when he left OKC, there were those who argued that Sam Presti should have been a bit more sensitive. I mean, to the point where, you know, he gets to deal with Nike and you don't even, you know, he's got to have some poster like 8 miles away or something because you couldn't put something up on the arena, and just the meticulous details with which the organization was being run. You weren't treating Kevin Durant like the superstar he deserved to be treated like. So, again, that may not have been the reason he departed from Oklahoma City, but that's something that people brought up. He goes to Golden State. He wins back-to-back titles. Let me state for the record, easily 3-peats if he doesn't tear his Achilles. There's no way the Toronto Raptors was beating them. They'd have took him out in 5, probably swept them. Okay?
Yeah, I agree.
When you go to Brooklyn, not only do you depart Steph Curry to go and play with Kyrie Irving, all right, because you want your own thing. Remember, at the 11th hour, it wasn't until the 11th hour that we heard about Brooklyn. All along, they were planning on going to the Knicks. All along, the New York Knicks were setting the stage. They thought that they had Kevin Durant, that Kevin Durant was coming to the Garden. But he makes the decision to go to Brooklyn, okay? They go to Brooklyn. What happens in Brooklyn? Kyrie gets hurt, of course. KD got to miss the first year. Then Kyrie gets hurt. And then if Kevin Durant didn't wear size 13, if he had worn a size 12 and a half or whatever, they beat Milwaukee, and then they're going to probably win the finals because I believe they would have beat Phoenix. They certainly would have beaten Atlanta in the Eastern Conference Finals, no doubt about that. So they might have won a championship, but his feet were too damn big. And that's what basically derailed them in that regard. But then thereafter, Eminem, there were stories. Listen, he has his story, they have their story. But according to at least one side of the aisle, he wanted Steve Nash and Sean Marks fired. He wanted them gone. And this is years after they let go of Kenny Atkinson, okay? And we see what kind of coach Kenny Atkinson is in Cleveland. I only bring all of those things up to say, right or wrong, fair or unfair, throughout the years, these headlines, these nuggets of stories have been associated with Kevin Durant. So Doggy is right. Knowing that history, not questioning his greatness in any way, because he's an all-time great, without question, okay? Had he gone back to Golden State, it would have been a no-win situation.
Yeah. So what's the deal now with him and Phoenix? They're 11th in the West. Like, is this his last stand here?
Well,
what do we do moving forward?
It's not his last stance because, see, when everybody looks at Kevin Durant being 35, 36 years of age, you need to chop a year and a half off of that because of the time he was out with the Achilles injury. His body is not that worn. The brother is looking better now than he did when he was younger. Kevin Durant is averaging 27.3 points a game since his Achilles tear. Shoot 53% from the field, 41% from three-point range. The brother is elite on a multitude of levels.
Okay, so how far is Denver going? I mean, Phoenix.
No, it's not.
Phoenix.
But that's where his problem lies. His time in Phoenix might be numbered because in order for them to get better, they might need to let go of an incredible asset like him. He'll have to go someplace else unless they can better the team, and they can't better the team because of the dollars they got to dole out to the Bills and the Devin Bookers of the world. So Kevin Durant might have to go elsewhere.
So I just want to chime in because the rest of the conversation with Malika, this comes up, right? Whether he's staying or not in Phoenix or not. And y'all got to talk to the front office, I can't say. But what I think is unique as Kevin Durant continues to matriculate through his NBA career, I think everybody would agree that he can play with anybody. And so the idea of the conversation of alpha and the different chapters of one's career, wherever he heads next, because of his student of the game mentality, the way that he works at the game, if he ends up with a young team, being the example, being a scorer, it could work. If he ends up with hopefully an older, not an too old team that's not healthy, like it can work. And so I think his ability to fit anywhere is what is going to give him an opportunity to keep winning.
I think he definitely will win again, but I think you have to look at, if you look at the top 20 players in the history of the NBA, and he's one of them, every single one of them, except maybe Shaq, played on no more than a couple of teams.
But that was then, doggy.
Well, I mean, but that's what the fans look at, though, Monica. Fans look at that.
I don't think fans look at that more than they look at championships and MVPs.
I think they look at that. I think fans say, hold on now, when he goes to the Hall of Fame, what hat is he wearing? Is he wearing a Golden State hat? Is he wearing a Thunder hat? Is he wearing a Nets hat? Is he wearing a Phoenix hat or the next team's hat? Think about it. Duncan played for the Spurs the whole career. Obviously, Nowitzki played for Dallas his whole career. Curry's played for Golden State.
So what are you saying? So what are you saying? You
He's
need him
moved
to
around down too
So you
much.
need him to stay in Phoenix
he
and win a
needs to
chip in
stay in a
Phoenix.
spot and say, you know what, this is my home for the next 3-4 years.
No.
Let me win a championship here. Well, let me look for the next best.
That's not
place.
up to him, Dougie.
But
He
that's
didn't
the next-
ask. But Dougie, he didn't ask for a trade. It's not him. These guys, he get paid $54 million next year.
Well,
he
he
didn't
asked
ask
for a
to
trade.
move.
Well, he
I'm
asked
saying
for a
he
trade.
didn't. We can't blame him. We can't blame him if the team trades him. If he asked to be traded, that's different. He's not asking to be moved out of Phoenix. If they move him, that's on them. That's not on Kevin Durant.
Well, how about moving out of Brooklyn? He asked for that.
You're going to
Yeah,
take
Oklahoma
it at
City.
face
He
value.
asked
He
for that.
just said he
Golden
wants
State.
to see it through. The man just said, I want to see it through.
He's going to have to prove that. Let him prove it.
Okay.
And good job on Malika. Good job on Malika.
That wasn't.